People reporting their neighbours. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've my evening stein of coffee, and I thought we would finish the weekend by having a look at this article or analysis from the ABC. One that, well, really is quite disgusting, to be quite honest. And I think kind of shows where Australia is at the moment. When should you call the police about alleged pandemic restriction breaches? When should you dob in your neighbours? When should you dob in your neighbours? This reminds me of, well, given my Germanic heritage, I have a lot of interest in history, particularly around World War II and the political situation surrounding that. I mean, I like playing Hearts of Iron 4. I watch, like lots of blokes watch World War II movies, World War II computer games. But one thing that I'm seeing is that steadily our society here in Australia is becoming more and more similar to some of these authoritarian regimes where people were willing to dob in their neighbours, were encouraged to dob in their neighbours, to report them. Just think of the people in your street. How well do you know them? How many would dob in each other? Were you ever reported to council? Maybe you left your bins out a little too long, or your grass was a bit high, or a plant grew over the edge. They sent an inspector to come and check on you. I had to cut a branch over because the postie complained, or someone complained. Or a car was sitting unregistered on the front of the road. It's reported. An appeal to authority. And sure, we want some order. We want people to act like responsible adults. But there seems to be a culture right now, and I say in many ways it's spurred on by social media, shaming people online, in this new woke religion that seems to be sweeping across the world. A religion where you virtue signal, you shame, you report, you dob in, appeal to the state. Let's have a look at this, because it's worrying in a lot of regards. Because, people seem to think, in Germany, how could this have happened? How could the German people have allowed an authoritarian regime to overtake their country and all the horrific things that occurred? Bit by bit, step by step, it's the path that socialism leads everyone. And having us and them ingrained in our culture, and dobbing in your neighbour. So, let's have a look at this. Under what circumstances and with how much evidence should you report someone for possibly breaching pandemic restrictions? It's sad that we're even discussing this. What do you think, everyone? What do you think? That debate has been raging in a Facebook community group for the Inner Melbourne, Greens precinct, suburb of Richmond, and reached its peak this week when a restaurant owner posted a photo of an order for 9 pizzas. So you think he'd be lucky and appreciative to actually be getting some bloody work. Well, there you go. Don't go at his restaurant anymore then if he's going to dob you in. Somebody's having a party, I assume. Yeah, you may be wrong. It may just be a big family. We're a household here of 9 people. You could just be wanting to stock up some pizzas and have them called for all you know. Maybe he gives a discount for bulk buys. Maybe they're taking them to their neighbours up the street. They've got some elderly people. Couldn't possibly be that. The responses revealed a community split between wanting to trust each other and seeing COVID enemies in their midst as the number of cases rises. So this is the thing. I mean, anyone could be infected. It's us and them. Do you remember when, now in Victoria they're going to get fined for not wearing masks. Do you remember when all the reports were coming out telling people not to wear masks? What happened to that? That all disappeared. That all disappeared. So a suburb of sleuths. No, not sleuths. A suburb of narcs, dibberdobbers. No, of Stasi. A suburb of Stasi. That's what it is. This wasn't Richmond's first foray into amateur investigation under Lockdown 2.0. Oh, come on. It began last weekend after Victorian authorities changed their messaging on masks and urged people to wear them if they couldn't social distance. My understanding is the only benefit of that is if you are wearing a mask, and if it's one of these face ones, it's going to restrict the chance that you can infect other people. That's it. That's it. If you want to protect yourself, you wear a proper one, a gas mask. You know, you need your eyes protected. You need goggles. You know. A grainy photo of people in a park was posted to the community group by an onlooker who lashed them for not wearing masks. Here you go. Here's a Karen. A Karen shaming people. How dare they? How dare they? Haven't heard much from that one, have we? From all the environmental hippies. Why aren't they protesting now? There was swift and mostly universal condemnation among community members. Not of the people in the park, but of the photographer. Fantastic. Good. Masks weren't mandatory, they say. You were only being told to wear them in confined areas, and please don't take unsolicited photos of your neighbours. That's good. Good. But that's changed, hasn't it? Fast forward a few days, and things went up a notch, this time on another Richmond Facebook page. I mean, are we coming now to a point that Facebook pages for different suburbs are seen as an indication of that suburb? I mean, most of them are full of garbage and whingers. I guess. A local was going for a walk when they spotted what looked like a personal trainer working with 4 people. Victoria's restrictions stipulated an instructor can only train 2 people at a time. Again, the encounter made its way to Richmond's social media community for a ruling. I've been keeping up with the pandemic numbers on your page and all the discussions the person wrote. I emailed the Richmond police station just to let them know, and they're going to add that area to their rounds. Oh, fantastic. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? If you want to, I'm keen to call out any moron who is acting in a way that prevents us from going about our normal activities, and potentially whose actions jeopardize our health. That's the thing. They're sinning, guys. They're sinning to this religion. Being a dibber-dobber used to be frowned on. But given our future lies in the hands of people who can't and won't do the right thing for the greater good, we're all for it. Do the right thing for the greater good. Those are the type of terms that can be used to take away people's rights, to restrict their freedoms. They've been used throughout history, over and over again. Were you watching, a recent Dan Andrews report on some of the tragic deaths that occurred? Now, not to be morbid, but the ages of the people that died statistically were probably more likely that they were going to die anyway that year. They're all over 80. 80 plus. When you're that age and you go into a home, you don't have many years left. And I know that because it happened to my father. Happened to the man my father shared his room with. Oh no, he actually lasted a long time. That's just the sad reality of it. One of the biggest concerns, and I know it's happened in other countries around the world, I hope it didn't happen here in Australia, was where they removed people from hospitals because there was fear. Fear that the hospitals would be overwhelmed. So they took some of the elderly people out of the hospitals, put them into the aged care homes where they had less medical capacity or ability to monitor. So then you had spikes of deaths in these homes. Happened in Ireland and other places. Then this needs to be investigated. Because if this has been a overreaction, are their deaths a form of negligence? Is the handling of Victoria in their management of the hotel security with the connections between the unions that are, involved with these hotel security organizations and these members and the government? Is there a conflict of interest? Yeah. So, this time the accused shot back. The personal trainer said he was finishing a session with 2 people as his next clients arrived. They weren't training together, he said, and the witness had simply walked by at the time of the interchange. Would be a little weird if we saw you filming us, he added. Well, yeah, I mean, that doesn't matter. Sorry, Mr. Personal Trainer, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You've been shamed. This is just the beginning, everyone. I think there are a lot of people who wouldn't dare go against the cultural norms, wouldn't dare simply follow what they've been told by their betters, by their leaders. And that's what worries me the most. A suburb divided over pizza. Which brings us to the pizza order a few nights ago. He felt genuinely conflicted when it came in. You should be lucky you're getting the food order made. At first he assumed it was for a family, but it was nearing 8 p.m. and that felt too late for the normal household order, he told the ABC. Plus the person on the phone sounded young, maybe a teenager or in their 20s. What am I going to do? Am I going to just do the pizzas and give it to the people as I usually do and just mind my own business? Or play the role as part of the Richmond community and try to investigate, see what's going on, call the authorities? What do you think, everyone? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? I mean, because you've got to understand my bias. My risk of dying from this illness is statistically reasonably low. I've got much greater things that could end my life in a moment. There are people that have prolonged medical issues, prolonged issues with this. Frankly, I think the food that we're going to eat is going to have a greater effect on your life in the long term. Do you think, we should be policing each other? Or is it this just a disturbing path it's heading? The post attracted hundreds of comments as the community went into investigation mode, suggesting motives. Could it be a work order, someone planning to eat leftovers? Maybe they're buying for their neighbours too. Had he checked the delivery address? Many were critically or openly mocking him. I would mind my own business and not make assumptions, one person wrote. Be grateful for the business and don't just assume, another added. I agree. Still others backed his concerns. Reported, people are dying, one said. People are dying all the time. Maybe send the police to drop off the order. We're all in this together. Salvatore declined to say what he ended up doing, except to add, I played my role for the Richmond community. Okay, so he's a narc. He later posted to the group, a gathering attempt was stopped. So when should you call the police? For the most part, Victorians have abided by the restrictions in the new round of lockdowns due to last until mid-August. But there have already been notable breaches, highlighted at the daily press conference by Premier Daniel Andrews and his police chiefs. You might have heard about the mates who were busted out and about playing Pokemon Go, or the person caught hiding in a cupboard. What does this sound like, guys? What does this all remind you, with people hiding from the police coming into homes? People just going for a walk. What does this sound like? You almost certainly heard about the birthday party where 16 people were caught after paramedics spotted 2 people at KFC in Dandenong ordering food for 20 people at 1:30 a.m. These stories infuriated people who know the key to beating the virus is a shared commitment to the sacrifice of the lockdown. It sounds very religious, doesn't it? Here's the thing. We're not going to beat it, no matter how much you lock it down. It's going to be impossible to exterminate that. It's not going to happen. It's never happened anywhere. We're either going to have to develop immunity to it, and some people will have lifelong issues with it. It's the luck of life, guys. It sucks to be you. Could happen to me. Could happen to anyone. That's the reality. You can pin your hopes on a vaccine and remain locked down. It might happen. It might achieve. It might even be healthy. It might even work without any potential side effects or consequences due to a faster than normal deployment method. That's a risk that, well, some people may choose to take, or it's a risk the state may force on everyone. You may not be able to conscientiously object. I don't think you can even conscientiously object in the United States. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of vaccination. I think it's saved many more lives. But if you look back through history, all the disasters that happened was rushed. Shortcuts were taken. We'd learned from those mistakes. And here's the thing. It's the potential of a mass hysteria because, well, people generally have a lot of comorbidity issues, and the numbers are looking quite scary because we've got very high populations and we're living high dense. They may rush things. So it comes down to a question of personal liberty, really. That's what it comes down to. People's choice. Are you for people's personal liberty, or are you for authoritarian rule? This is just this will really separate the wheat from the chaff. We'll see where people lie on the political spectrum. Because some people are singing the praise of Andrews. They're singing his praise. They want this lockdown. They want this restriction. They want the community sacrifice. They believe we're all in this together. And they want to shun those who dare want to simply have their freedoms and are willing to take the risk themselves. But the message that seeps through is that some people can't be trusted. Yes, they can't be trusted. As a result, Victorians are being urged to report alleged breaches. There you go. Report breaches. The Department of Health and Human Services says anyone who suspects a flout should contact the pandemic hotline, which I'm not going to read, and select option 4, which will take them to the police assistance line. That line has received more than 90,000 calls since it was set up, according to Victorian Police. In the first week of the new lockdown, it was averaging more than 1,000 calls a day. In turn, police have done more than 114,000 spot checks since March, including roadside stops. In many respects, it's no different to reporting any other alleged crime you might witness. That's part of the social contract that's been forced on citizens, and is embraced for far less serious breaches. Victorians can even sign up to be a registered litter reporter, for example. Oh, I was terrified. I thought we were going to have a registered pandemic breach reporter as part of a program specifically created to let people report someone dropping rubbish from a vehicle. At Maruka here, we have a particularly multicultural suburb in Brisbane. And I remember I went there for an event, a council event there. And in this suburb, they had to have people, council was spending money manning a booth to teach people how to put rubbish in bins. Yeah. To be fair, that is, depending on where you have immigrated from in the world, some people will dispose of rubbish in a really efficient way. They just burn it on the side of the road. That's all they know. But you think living here a while, you kind of will understand that bins exist. It wouldn't take you long to learn that bins exist, would it? It's not that advanced tech, guys. What feels different here is that in the face of such an insidious threat, but see, most people don't... And with anecdotal reinforcement from authorities that some people are doing the wrong thing, some feel spurred, obligated even, to not just report what they see, but to root it out, to keep watch, take notes and report. Yeah, of course. Of course. While it's used to be taboo to eavesdrop on your neighbours, there's a sense that it's now okay to peer over the fence. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says we're all Melburnians now. But no, we're not. We're not all Melburnians now. What does it do to a society if we invite this sort of cynicism from our neighbours? Well, you need to read some history, guys. Look at ordinary men. In the middle of this debate is Salvatore, desperate to do the right thing and just trying to figure out what that means. Salvatore. Where's that name from? Is that an Italian name? Maybe he should speak to some of his ancestors. I live in Richmond too. I have a business in Richmond, and I'm just trying to look after the community as well and keep the numbers low, he said. Well, you know what he needs to do. He just needs to coat his pizzas in that same magic Lorna Jane paint that they're putting in their clothes. The water-based paint that will just kill all the bacteria in it. Or put that on the cardboard boxes. So when they touch the boxes, the virus will go. Magic! Oh, wait, they got done by that. So, guys, what do you think? What do you think? It starts with reporting pizza orders. Where does it end? Or is this just the Australian way? We're a low-trust society. People don't trust their neighbours. How many people even know their neighbours anymore? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. I'll see you next time.